Hi, everybody. So listen, it took me 10 years and thousands of no's to get to this point. And I promise you I would do every single one of them again. I'm a songwriter, I'm a producer, I'm a label, and I'm a publisher. Now, let me tell you what that 10 years actually looked like, because it was kind of messy. When I left school, all I wanted to do was be a superstar. I saw myself as the artist. My version was this guy called Robbie Williams. If you know who Robbie Williams is, he was our biggest superstar in the UK and Europe. I used to go and watch him at every show I possibly could. Stadiums with hundreds of thousands of people screaming. That's exactly who I saw myself being. That was the guy. That was the dream. This energy, the stage presence, that was everything I aspired to be. So I had to find my way into the music industry. So what I did was I started off as a session musician to get myself into the world. Any way I had to get into it, that's what I was going to do. So I joined an artist at the very start of their career. His name's Example. I joined him when he was playing to 30 people. I played guitar, keys, and I sung for him. And I got to see the full artist span of 4 album cycles. We went from playing to 30 people in the back of a Vauxhall Sharon heading up the M1, 5 or 6 of us in the back, messy. It was carnage, but truly amazing. I ended up playing to 20,000 people a night, Arctic trucks, tour buses, private jets. I got to see the full thing. It was incredible. Every television show, every radio show, every festival. I did probably 600 shows during my period as a session musician. I really kind of learned how to be a pop star without actually physically being a pop star, because I was just to the right of him, just watching him do everything. But it was an amazing, amazing learning curve. So towards the time of me finishing with him, I still had this ambition to be an artist. So I put together a mixtape, which I self-produced and I wrote with my bandmates on tour. And it was called Late Night Viewing. And it had some really, really big names on it. It had Ed Sheeran on it. It had probably 3 or 4 of the biggest superstars in the UK. And it came out, and it made a lot of noise. I had record deal offers, I had publishing offers, I had management offers. Everyone was all over me. And then one by one, they all disappeared. I was like, okay, all right, let's keep this thing moving. So I did it again. I found another producer based out of America called Sango. We made a mixtape called The Dark Side of Paradise. This is another lifetime ago. I've forgotten half my life now. The Dark Side of Paradise. And it was the same thing. It built up a lot of anticipation, a lot of industry excitement, more record deal offers, more publishing offers, more management. Here we are. I'm going to go into it. And so I decided, ultimately, I wanted to sign with Ludacris's team in Atlanta. Now I know what you guys are thinking here. This guy's a thug. I can tell you. I'm not dangerous. You're all safe in it. But no, it was an incredible time. That was the time that I really did my kind of graveyard shift. I did 3 sessions a day, starting from 11 in the morning, then 1 at 3 o'clock, and then sometimes 1 starting at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I just did this for years. I slept on sofas. I did everything I could. That was my real formative learning years. It was an amazing experience. But even when I was in Atlanta, I kept on getting hit with the same thing. Who are you? What do you do? Are you pop? Are you R&B? Are you... It was just too confusing for everyone. So I'm probably 26 by this time, and I decide I'm going to give up the Atlanta dream, and I'm going to head back to London. I get a new team in London, new manager, and the first thing he does is sits me down and says, David, have you thought about being a songwriter or producer? That was my ego bruised, let me tell you, because that was never in question. I was always going to be the superstar. That's what it had to be. That's what I had in my head this whole time. I was building towards the thing, and then someone says, "Have you?" No, of course I haven't. Anyway, this was a huge ego blow, as I said. But this was my first real moment of choice. I could either be jaded, or I could take it as an open door. Now, let me talk to you about jaded and forward. In any adversity, there are two paths that you can take. There is jaded, and then there's forward. Jaded, which I have been many times, has led me unproductive, uninspired, uncreative, woe is me, angry. There is no positive thing that comes out of being jaded. You just may as well leave it where it is. But when I chose forward, well, I used it as a learning experience. I used it as like a creative hype machine on myself to be able to G myself up and put the bit between my teeth and say, I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you what I can do. And if you adopt that mindset, that's when things are going to start getting a lot easier for you. So, I get to work. I'm a songwriter and a producer now. I've really kind of taken on this mantra. 7 days a week for the next 4 years. Me and my writing partner, Jessica Ogomba, she used to come over to my parents' house. I was still living at home. She used to sit on the end of my bed and we'd write songs. Thousands of songs. That's no exaggeration. Actually, thousands of songs. We'd book meetings with A&Rs who just wouldn't turn up. I was told that my writing was just too bright or too shiny for the UK at the time. No one wanted the songs. What am I doing wrong? Anyway, I kept on. I kept my eyes on the prize and just kept chugging on forward. Here's what I know about doing the reps. If you keep pushing, it's going to happen. You have to keep pushing, though. I found myself my first publishing deal. It wasn't anything flashy. It wasn't big amounts of money, nothing like that. But for the first time, someone looked to me and said, I believe in you. And that was all the kind of oxygen I needed to just keep this thing going. If you turn up every day and do the work, I promise you, God walks in the room and hands you the right song at the right time. You just have to be there when it happens. So let me tell you about the first real test of this jaded and forward thing. I'd spent years as a writer and producer building up an artist. That's what we do as writers and producers. We find an artist, we build them, hoping that one day we're all going to get rich and we're going to live in nice houses in Los Angeles and do the whole thing. That is the dream. That's what we want. So I'd spent years building, and when it mattered most, I was pushed out, no credit, nothing, just gone. That was the best thing that could have ever happened, though. I sat with it, and I chose forward. Because that moment between jaded and forward, that's where everything lives. And that led me on to write my first big hit called What a Man Got to Do for the Jonas Brothers. The funny thing about that song is that's the exact sound of my artist project. Nothing changed. That was the sound that I got told was too bright, too shiny, too much, too big, too whatever. So that's a real lesson for gut instinct. If you're lucky enough to actually get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, because not everyone does get that. If you get that physical presence in your sternum, that's what you've got to trust. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, you have to learn to trust your gut. And I've always trusted my gut. I've always been very headstrong and very forward mentality. So, let me tell you about the next story. The Jonas Brothers are out performing the song. They're at the Grammys. They're playing it all over the world. It's flying up charts. Here we go. 10 years worth of waiting. I'm heading out to Hollywood to do all the sessions that I had waited my entire life for. Here we go. And then, COVID. Sit your ass down, do nothing, make banana bread. That was it. Guys, I'm no good at making banana bread, I can tell you that much. I'm good at writing songs, though. So, in the scariest moment of my life, and probably all of our lives, I found my superpower. And my superpower is bringing joy. And that joy came as Dynamite for BTS, which was my real moment of the thing I truly waited my whole life for. When the world was at its lowest, I found the most joyous part of my being to really write something the brightest and the biggest and the shiniest. I mean, it even had a key change in. I mean, what else do you want? But it's not coincidence. That's what choosing forward over Jaded gives you. Now, I want to talk about the controllable and uncontrollable variables. Uncontrollable things are like timing or luck or where culture is or whether the world is even ready for the thing that you've created. Let them go, because fighting them is going to do nothing for you. Waste of energy. But the controllable variables, well, they're entirely yours. You should manifest your opportunities. I've probably read The Secret 10 times over, and I've manifested all of mine. Your thoughts really, truly are what you are. That's not a metaphor. Turn up every day and do the reps. If you do the reps, you're just waiting for the moment. So, when it comes, you'll be ready to strike. Okay, so be disciplined, be coachable, be willing to hear no. Be willing to be reshaped and stay fluid. I feel more coachable now than I have ever been in my entire career. The day you stop being coachable is really the day you start going backwards. You need to move like water. Water doesn't stop. It doesn't fight what's in front of it. It finds a way around, through, under. It fills every single gap. It never stays still. Be that. Be urgent. Say it with your chest. Big ideas scare people. If you want to be different, you're going to have to expect no's. Why would anything truly interesting just fit in? That's the whole point, isn't it? I started this talk today as a kid who wanted to be Robbie Williams. And today I'm a songwriter, a producer, a publisher, and a label owner. I still get no's every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. It never, ever stops. But now I understand that no is not a wall, it's just an arrow. Really just depends on which direction you let it take you. Every single no led me to this moment, and that is not luck. That's chasing forward and not jaded. I'm so grateful to be here today. No, truly, I really am. When I was asked to speak, it almost felt kind of kismet to me, because preparing for this kind of allowed me to go back and really look at my journey to this point, and it really gave me clarity on what I have to do to reach the next summit in my own career. Through all the ups and the downs and the sideways and the back to fronts, here's what I've learned. No was never really the end. It was just the beginning. Thank you.